We should have known that we were in for a treat when two superstars like LeBron and Steph met up for a playoff-like game. And we got the best game of the season as these two teams went at each other for the full 48 minutes. And in the end, it was fitting that game recognized game. What the Warriors did on defense last night was some of the most impressive guarding of an opponent I have seen. Their rotations were on point consistently and made life extremely difficult for a team that had struggled to score all season long. We know the Lakers would be looking to set LeBron ball screens to get Curry guarding him. On this double ball screen across the top, Curry is aggressive, jumping up to the ball to push LeBron back towards half court. Draymond flies up to be the second defender, chasing LeBron out to the wing so he can pick him up, with Curry forced to guard AD. So watch how fluidly Wiggins passes him off to his original man. On the weak side, Toscano Anderson slides down to be the bigger defender down low, Curry shadows AD on his face-up, and Wiggins contests the mid-range into a miss. LeBron also wanted to target Looney in the pick and roll as well, so they bring Drummond up to high screen. The two guys on the weak side are key. Draymond rotates over to stop the freight train. That leaves Bazemore splitting the difference between the two players on the right side. His job is to close out to the first pass. Having just rotated, Draymond is able to X out to the corner and almost block this shot. Of course, all these rotations leave them vulnerable on the backside, but the Warriors don't quit. Davis gets positioned on Draymond and is ultimately permitted to be in the lane for 5 seconds, but Looney rotates down to support, then turns and uses verticality perfectly to block this shot and get the ball back for his team. The goal of the offense is to force rotations and attack closeouts, and the key for the defense is how they handle those. On the handoff out of Horns, Looney decides to attack KCP and drive him back with a double team by Curry. But they've got a problem. Draymond not only has to deal with the much bigger Drummond in the key, but he's also worried about Schroeder in the corner. Watch Looney sprint down there to allow Green to close to Schroeder. However, he allows middle penetration. Looney now steps up to dissuade the shot. Wiggins has to mark Drummond, but then close out to Caruso. And wouldn't you know it, they need Looney once more to close out to the corner, which he does perfectly, and now the shot clock is an extra defender. Wiggins moves his feet, forces Caruso into a wild one, and the shot clock expires. Easily one of the best defensive possessions I've seen in a long while. The Warriors clearly want to prevent middle drives, so watch how Bazemore angles his feet to deny Schroeder the ball screen. The Lakers cleverly flip the screen, and it forces the mismatch. With Draymond shadowing, it prevents Schroeder from attacking. Notice how Looney and Bazemore switch back on the kick out to the top. Now, they've got the right matchup down low, and Baze knows he can dig down from one pass away because Draymond is there to cover for him as he gets the steal. The Warriors were so on point with their defense that it forced LeBron deep into his bag to make some incredible passes because Draymond could expertly shadow him and guard AD at the same time. On this Kuzma cut, there were probably 3 inches of space to get this ball through. And credit to Kuzma for a tough inside hand finish despite Wiggins being right there. Later in the third, they got what they wanted with a switch of Curry onto LeBron. Wiggins turns his head for a split second. Just look how he leads Caruso right to the hoop for the easy shot. There were so few easy shots for the Lakers that the skill involved to read this one and execute it was off the charts. The Warriors had the game under control by controlling the three-point game, but that advantage only worked if they didn't commit so many unforced errors. Give the Lakers credit for their defensive pressure, but some of these were just forced passes that then put even more pressure on the Golden State defense to be perfect. And that leads us to the final minute. Draymond Green established himself as the best defender in the game with his performance on this end of the floor all night long. I mean, nobody steals pocket passes like these, and he did it multiple times. So it made sense he was the key rotator after LeBron targeted Steph in the pick and roll. KCP was bottled up down low, the shot clock under 5, and he had no choice but to throw it to LeBron, who was easily 8 feet behind the three-point line. Despite getting hit in the eye by Draymond and seeing triple vision, and attempting this with a non-traditional right-left footwork with the left foot having to move backwards before planting, LeBron gets this line drive off out and in the basket for what ended up being the game winner. I love the interaction between these two as Curry gets a taste of what it's like to be on the other end of some of his crazy game winners. Of note, on the last possession with the Warriors still down 3, the Lakers didn't appear willing to foul. They got burned by this earlier this season when allowing OKC to get to the three-point line and then foolishly fouling the shooter, and it was mind-boggling that they hadn't learned from that. But they did double Curry at least, so he wouldn't be allowed to get the shot off. You can see Steve Kerr telling them to just go and attack without the defense being set up, but then after seeing the double, decides to call a timeout to set something up. This was probably a mistake at this point, since 2.1 seconds just isn't enough time to run something good. I like the idea here to get Curry screening first with hopes the defense worries about the cutter. However, because it's a down screen on the weak side block, there's a ton of room to cover to go get the pass, allowing Davis enough time to switch off and deflect it. Fitting that it was a defensive play that ends the game, considering how great the defense was from both teams, which makes sense considering the Lakers were number 1 and the Warriors were 5th in defensive rating. Let's hope these two somehow get through their opponents and meet up again for a Western Conference Finals. It would be the most epic matchup imaginable and something we deserve to see again. If you like this video, please subscribe for even more great breakdowns. As the playoffs are upon us, I'll be breaking down as many games as humanly possible, at least one every day. And don't forget to like and comment below. After all, at B-Ball Breakdown, it's not a channel, it's a conversation. You win?